what are clients like sort of asking you, coming to you for? Like, what are they saying in meetings? Like, what are their problems? Is there some common themes like this year?
Yeah. It's always growth. This year, it's how do we grow exponentially faster because we have these new robot tools who will assist us in doing it.
I've got Lyndsey Maddox, who is the CEO of Digital Third Coast, a digital marketing agency in Chicago. Lyndsey, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So you're a theater kid.
I am a theater kid.
What was your favorite role?
Oh, great question. First role I ever played was Helen Keller in The Miracle Worker at a community theater.
Okay.
It's the hardest thing I ever did because I
Yeah,
had
I
to be
would think
quiet
so.
for 2 hours straight.
Yeah.
I've never done that again
And
since.
you're not a quiet person?
No, sir.
Okay.
No. And then I played in a Carol Churchill play, Top Girls, the character Pope Joan.
Okay.
Which is based on maybe a real female pope who existed,
Really?
but whose existence is strongly denied.
Yeah, of course.
And I fell in love with that character.
Holy
So
cow.
it was really fun, historical, wild exploration into someone who maybe existed in real life, but
Yeah.
maybe didn't.
How do you parlay the passion, those skills into, like, you're a CEO of a successful digital agency. I don't think about like theater kids necessarily going down that path, but I could be wrong. Maybe every CEO is secretly a theater kid and I didn't know it.
Maybe. I mean, I think it's a lot of things, right? It's that I didn't get discovered in the time frame in which I need to be discovered to pay bills.
Okay, so failure.
So failure.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Have to get a real job now, right?
Okay.
At some point, it was like, okay,
Is that like because you have a family and you have to pay
just
for other
bills.
things?
Yeah,
like
didn't even have a
anything in
family
life?
yet, but just was like, this
Still
isn't
gotta-
working. We
Yeah,
can't starve.
Okay,
right?
sure.
And then sales was like a natural loop for me from theater into sales. Most people think that's because if you're an actor and a salesman, you're a liar. I would say that's not true. It's because if you're an actor and a salesman, you believe strongly in character study and getting to know who you're sitting with.
I love
and
that.
what motivates them and what they care about and if you can help them or not. And
Yeah.
you can pick up on that and figure it out.
Right.
I think that if you care about the person you're sitting and talking to, you're more likely to do great things together.
Yeah.
If you can.
Yeah. I
So.
dig that. I think that's a good spin on it. I feel like I haven't heard that sort of way of positioning it, but like, you're a liar if you're selling a crappy product.
Yeah.
But like if you're selling an amazing product,
Yes.
it kind of doesn't really. You just have to be really good at connecting with people, and
Right.
like you said, connecting to their needs.
Yeah. My
Knowing
dad
them.
was a salesman. He said you only need two things: genuine belief in your product, genuine interest in the other person in the room.
Yeah.
That's it. The rest of it is easy.
So, tell me who Digital Third Coast is. Like, what do you guys do? Kind of, what are you known for?
Yes.
And also just like, there are a lot of agencies. Like, what are you different? Why are you
Yeah.
different?
So we've been around 18 years. At this point, that's a differentiator.
Yeah,
In
definitely.
the digital marketing space. So a lot
In any
of
business that's around that long too.
Right, that too. A lot of strong experience. We do SEO. We do content. We do paid media, which includes paid search and paid social. Everything we do ties back to a mission statement that our two co-founders wrote in 2007, which is to make a measurable difference.
Okay.
That's the hill I die on. If we can't measure it, I get nervous. There's all sorts of problems with attribution right now.
Yeah, sure.
But, excuse me, we at least have some data to indicate what we're doing is truly helping growing a business, or it's not. Shift strategies. I think that's another differentiator. We are very, very committed to that, making a measurable difference. It's not impressions. It's not clicks. It's not whatever other marketing jargon term you want to use. It's, are we growing the business in terms of filling the lead pipeline with real qualified true leads that turn into revenue?
Yeah.
Or not?
So is that what most of your clients would come to you for, and they would say, "Hey, we need more leads"?
Yes, more leads, or e-com, much more trackable, more sales. It's always more sales, right? Leads is just the step before that, if it's not an e-com. And before that, we look at things like traffic and clicks and impressions, and if you're appearing in generative results or search engine results or not.
Gotcha. So
Yeah.
do you have like a certain, like in terms of your positioning, who you're working with? Are there certain types of brands? Are there certain industries? Is like, how do you find your clients?
There aren't specific brands. In fact, like we've been very focused on versatile base. That's partially just because I have a team of people who, like me, love to learn new things.
Yeah.
So new industries is fun. It's also because we want to avoid conflicts of interest, right? Two clients trying to rank for the same term. You can have some separate team members. There's ways to avoid like true conflict of interest to a point.
Sure.
But it's not foolproof. And at some point you say like, if this is your client, then these ones can't be because we're doing competitive analysis,
Right.
and working against that. So we're very much cross-industry. Sizes range from solopreneurs to Fortune 500 and kind of
Wow,
everything
yeah.
in between.
Okay.
For some of our clients, we are the entire marketing department.
Right.
For most of our clients, we are a segment of their overall marketing strategy.
Yeah.
So my client's typically a CMO or a VP of marketing, director of digital, depending on the size of the business, who needs support in actually putting together a plan that's going to drive growth. And they have generally worked with another agency. I love to be the second agency because you have some expectations that haven't been met, but you also have an idea of what's possible and what's realistic. So.
Right. And they're probably, if they didn't have a good experience, they're probably sharing that with you, and then they're, help me.
Yeah.
Please help us.
Yes.
And then it's gonna be a little clearer on where those expectations are.
Yep.
So I guess maybe getting into like your guys' subject matter, are you, you're the CEO. Are you also are you leading a lot of the conversations around new business, or do you mostly manage the business?
Yeah, great question. I largely do the new business.
Okay.
I like to try and separate my time so that I put roughly 40% in sales, roughly 25% into existing clients, and making sure that they have what they need, that they're satisfied, another 25% in my team directly.
Okay.
And then I have the 10% bucket for like, whoopsies, that plan didn't work.
You gotta put a
And
fire
just
out.
like planning time, right?
Yeah.
Sitting and thinking, or I told you as I walked in the studio today, getting lost in ChatGPT, making widgets that aren't quite right. So
I love, like, I can imagine like your timesheet, and it's like clients and team and whoopsies.
Yeah, that's basically where it is.
It says whoopsies on there. That's how I imagine it. You've been at the company for how long?
Over 13 years now.
So most of it.
Yes.
What's really changing in around the conversation around SEO and what you guys are doing? Like, how is the conversation with your clients changing, especially like recently? What comes to mind there?
Sure. SEO has changed every day since I learned that acronym.
Okay.
And I've also been told it's dead every day since I learned that acronym. So that is not changing. That's the consistent is. The consistent is that it is changing. Okay. When I first started in this space, I think SEO was largely about manipulating algorithms. So we would study how Google's algorithms worked and then poke holes in it.
Okay.
And then Google said, oh, we're going to close that loophole and close this loophole. And their algorithms have become more sophisticated and more advanced every single year.
Sure.
Algorithm updates 15 years ago, we might have considered a threat. I would call it an opportunity now, because if we are doing the things we now stand solidly by, which is we don't make content for robots, we make content for human beings, the algorithm as it advances should reward that behavior rather than punish it.
So are you guys, how much content are you guys making? Like, it was a numbers game.
5 to 10 years ago, whoever had the highest quality links, as determined by something like DA from Moz, won. And now the new fun metric that there is no credible source, I'd say, is relevancy. Yeah. So when Matt links to me, that has a lot more value. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here, for a link.
I know. Let's
I'm
get these links.
podcasting for a link.
Let's get these links.
But that has more value because we know each other in real life. There's a real relationship here, right? And we work in a similar space, in a similar geography, and there's opportunity to do real work together, as opposed to if, Barbie's personalblog.com links to me, I don't know who Barbie is, or the New York Times. Very cool. How relevant is the piece? Because I bet the New York Times is not making a piece called Lyndsey Maddox is a great CEO at Digital Third Coast.
Maybe
we
they
podcasted
should.
with her.
I guess in that same vein, what are clients like sort of asking you, coming to you for? Like, what are they saying in meetings? Like, what are their problems? Is there some common themes like this year?
Yeah. It's always growth. This year, it's how do we grow exponentially faster because we have these new robot tools who will assist us in doing it. There's a lot of conversation around visibility in SERPs, and I'm using jargon,
let's
search
do it.
engine results pages versus visibility in generative. responses. And what does that mean? A huge amount of our clients have traffic dropping right now,
Right.
but impressions are up, meaning they're visible and generative, and leads are consistent or up. So ultimately, the end metric is the metric that matters. I'm okay with losing traffic that's like thinking about talking to you, as long as they're still seeing your name in generative. We are already offering what we're going to call either AEO or GEO, which is
AEO, of course, is alligator, elephant, omnivore.
Yeah. Like AI
results.
engine optimization
Oh, yeah. That's
or
what I meant
generative
to say.
engine optimization.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be called AEO or GEO. Could you do a poll on this podcast?
Yeah, let's
and
go ahead and bring up the poll here.
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be AEO
Or GEO.
or GEO or an IOU? I don't know. One of those three.
Yeah.
And then let's see what they
You
say.
tell me.
And then we'll tell you what it is, and you can just call it that
Yes.
for your clients from
Yeah.
now on.
And
Solved.
because I'm an SEO, I'm going to use both terms on the landing page anyways. So
Right.
I think I just have to pick which one's the title of the page.
Okay, perfect. So they're just kind of looking more for that guidance on how to navigate this stuff, and you're spending a lot of time. Are you spending a lot, like, do they get it and they're just like, great, you can help me solve this problem, or you guys spending a lot of time sort of educating people before you even enter into like a contract?
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of education, not because we know a lot more than anybody else, but because we have a lot of experience in timelines and expectations. So if someone says like, hey, I want to do some SEO because I need to start generating leads in June, I'm like running, right? I can't generate leads for you in June. I don't know how to do that. Maybe with a paid strategy if we're real aggressive.
Yeah.
But with an organic strategy,
So is that a
No.
misconception people are showing up with on the door?
yeah, I think a lot of folks have been sold like any industry, there are people who will sell a dream that is not real.
Right.
And I'm a dream big person. I like big dreams. I like big goals. But what I share is like a realistic expectation of
Sure.
what can happen. And then if we hit the dream, great. No one's ever mad that we did better faster. But I want to make sure that like walking into it, the expectations are clear that like we're a terrible option if you want to outsource your marketing. I'm never going to know any of my clients' business like they do.
Right.
Beauty of that is the diversity of clients that we get. I get to learn new industries. The downside of that is I can't know your business as well as you do ever. I'm never even going to be close. So it's very collaborative in nature. I have things that I need from them. If they won't work with us, it's not going to work, right? How long it takes is always a big thing. What does it cost? When do I hit ROI? Those are the big questions. And then what is this AI thing and what are you doing with it? I think that's
How
like
much of that
everybody's
is part of
saying
your
that.
conversation right now?
Even my existing clients, that's a huge part because that's who I will beta test stuff with, right? We already know each other and I'm telling you this is a beta. Do you want to test it or do you want to not, right? I don't like beta tests with people I just started working with because we don't know each other that well, right?
When you say beta test, what are you testing?
We're testing building out like client GPTs where we are teaching
like an agent of some sort?
Yes. Yeah. We're creating basically an agent who is being trained to be a marketing strategist for the brand with like very specific tasks.
And is that related specifically to SEO purposes or
No.
even broader than that?
SEO, content, brainstorming topics and ideas for new content, paid media. Like what does your audience care about in an ad? Where are the gaps? Where competitors, when you run a search and you want to buy an orange mug, how do we click on this one instead of that? And it's largely the image, the price tag, and the description.
Right.
This orange mug is from Fungi. Oh, well, I want that one.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the fungi mug.
I don't
Who
want
doesn't want
I don't want the Target one. I want the Fungi one.
Right.
Right?
I do believe these are from Target.
Oh my gosh.
But we can edit that out, right?
Nailed it.
Okay. There's a story there. There's a reputation
Right.
there that.
So how do you
provide.
generate just huge amounts of ideas at scale that then a human being, because I'm a big fan of human beings doing marketing to human beings, not
love
robots.
humans.
Yeah.
Big fan of humans.
Can review and think about and consider as options.
Right.
I don't want the robots to write for me. I don't want the robots to like make my art. I want the robots to like set up all the canvases and stuff so that I can make art on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like empowering you to make the art
Right.
more effectively. So, I mean, this is interesting. This is something that we haven't gone in depth a lot with. So are you guys are creating these agents. How does that work in terms of like ownership? Do you create something that's specific to their brand and it's your client's agent, or are you sort of using this as part of how you serve? Are you trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I think we're trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I think the governance part is probably an area that we're going to need some external guidance
yeah.
on. I'm such like a transparent sharer. Like I'd rather just everybody have access to everything so we can make
Yeah.
it better. At some point, these things do become IP, right? And
Yeah.
there's value in them, and you can then sell them, and they become their own thing. Right now, I think we're so early in that, and there's so much more testing to be done that I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think I need the governance yet. At some point, I'm sure we
Yeah.
will.
Because how much of this is sort of experimenting in, like you said, it's beta testing almost.
Yeah.
They're open to it because they want to advance their thinking and their
Right.
output, but they know that like this is just a beta test and that's okay with
Right.
them. Is that kind of how you approach it? Just
Yeah,
open-
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
So I would love to like, so some examples of those agents, like are there multiple different things you're using them, creating them for? What do they look
More
like?
so specific agent for specific tasks.
Okay.
I'd say they have more than one task, right? If you are an expert on the brand and I have fed you persona docs and keyword lists and brand guidelines, you should be able to do a number of different tasks, right?
Right.
Or at least generate the framework for which we can pull ideas and then do it.
So the tasks, I mean, obviously these are things you guys are already doing, right? But is the task like to generate, like you said, concepts for content?
Yeah.
Based off of
Right,
their persona,
yeah.
based off of the research.
Right.
Yeah.
Andy Crestodina has this great prompt that I love, which is, what is something that this persona cares deeply about that other people would find like mundane or even trivial? He words it so much better than that. Get it from Andy.
Yeah.
But it
Copy it.
is such a great space because nobody wants to write controversial content, right? We all have our politics and we all have our favorite bands and we all have our favorite like after hours activities, but we all want to like for our brands, like protect our brands and stay in like a safe space, which you can absolutely do and still have really strong opinions about something that matters to your ICP or your persona or your target audience.
Yeah. And so you come back, you go through, just generate like 120, whatever, like topic ideas, and then you get, what would you guys do with that?
Then a human being says that that looks viable. I know how to get the research for that. Because sometimes it comes back with ideas that there's no way we would ever be able
Right.
to do the research for, right? Like, how would we answer that? My content team that largely has backgrounds in journalism have become really good at understanding what types of content we're going to be able to pitch to news and media that news and media are going to care about as well.
Right.
So it's like some audience first content, some news first content, and that combination is where we're seeing the best results in terms of actually like increasing visibility.
So you guys do PR too?
We do what we call digital PR.
Okay.
So not traditional PR in the sense that like I don't know journalists personally where I can
Yeah,
connect
you don't have
people
all the
and tell a
relationships.
story.
You're not pitching.
I don't know how to write a press release. But I do know how to create content that the news will link to.
Right.
Because ultimately I still am all about links.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Do you get any comments or thoughts or like are you hearing this conversation from any clients who are like, shouldn't that be cheaper, or can you just AI that? Do you have anybody coming to you with that, or do they know better?
I don't think any of my existing clients, I hope, are considering any of these tools in any way able to replace a member of my team.
Right.
I definitely am not. I can tell you that there is no member of my team who is replaced even a little bit by a robot. I think robots are good at gaps better than humans are, so they can see gaps in ways that humans might miss. We
Sure.
see what's there, they see what's not. I think it's good at like kind of doing some gut checks. I think this is a good idea. If I give you all this data, do you agree? But I think ultimately, the more time I spend in ChatGPT, the more I describe it as like a really untrained kind of arrogant
Yeah.
and very eager to please intern. But like it doesn't know how to write an email.
Sure.
Right? Or it like doesn't know that you shouldn't email a client like, hey dude, unless you actually, like
Right.
you have to like give them
Note
very
to self,
specific
stop
instructions.
saying hey dude to my client.
Hey, if your client is a dude and wants to be called dude, you know
and
that.
likes to be yelled hey at.
But the robot doesn't know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It can't make an educated decision.
Right.
I mean, so it sounds like I love that the analogy of the arrogant intern.
Yeah.
But you guys are embracing as a whole, like within the company, you guys are embracing AI. Sounds like specifically for efficiency sake is where you're putting. I mean, it's still generating ideas. There's a little bit of creativity there, but it's not really necessarily creativity and like here's a new idea. It's like let's check this against the data of our personas and brands and things like that, right?
Yeah, I think that we still have to do all the work for the framework in order to get any output that's meaningful.
Absolutely.
And when you test just plugging it in without giving that data, which I just ran as an example for my team of like, maybe let's not do this.
Right.
I made a DTC widget. I fed it my website, the Digital Third Coast LinkedIn page, brand guideline docs, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then I said, tell me what DTC cares about. And it pulled up my core values from 5 years ago. They're not my current core values that are on my website and on my LinkedIn, and I feel like I talk about all the time.
Like,
Are
you listening?
They're the old ones.
Yeah.
And then I said, who are the key personnel at Digital Third Coast? And they knew me, and they knew George and Taylor. And then they called my senior paid media analyst, the head of digital PR.
Okay.
And they called a former employee who's no longer with us. He is still alive, just no longer with us at the agency.
Good.
Our director of SEO.
Okay.
Which is also not true.
Got it wrong.
So it just
wrong.
But it didn't say I think this is who it is. It said this is who it is.
Totally.
So that's the arrogance, right?
Yeah.
It will just state not facts as facts.
Well, I love that another example working with my team where we've used some of it for some efficiency purposes of like going through transcripts of videos, for example, and pulling out certain clips. We've done this thing where we built agents and we're using it to sort through, and we'll say, hey, can you create a transcript that includes this point, this point, and this point, give it the directions, and then we'll say, don't make anything up. And then it'll go through and be like, here's the transcript based off the interview. And then we're like, we're cross-checking, can't find some of those words in the transcript. And then like my producer, Jason, was like, are you making this up? And the AI is like, yeah. It like has this little sheepish.
It's
right, Jason? I mean, like we get this sort of like funny kind of response back that's just like,
Solly.
yeah, I did make it up.
Yeah.
And then we obviously do more training, you do more things, but it is very funny how it has this personality of like, yeah, I was wrong. I like that at least
and it's eager to please.
And it's eager to please.
It wants to give you an answer even if it doesn't know the answer, and that's about the most dangerous quality in a human being I can think of. Right?
Yeah.
Like I love.
Like it's not going to be true, but it's going to make you feel good in the moment.
It's just going to tell you that it is true.
Yeah.
Right. I love in an interview to ask a question that the correct answer should be, I don't know.
Right.
Because if you say I don't know, I feel like, okay, I can trust you. This is legitimate, and you're a human who doesn't know everything. Yeah. If you like make up some long-winded, wonky answer, I'm always like, oh, you're going to do that to a client, and that's
I would love
a non-starter.
to know where that comes from. Like, why is that part of the AI experience right now?
User adoption, right? Like if it says, I don't know the answer to that, don't we just stop asking it questions?
Yeah.
But I can keep testing and poking it, and when you have those moments, exploring it to try and figure out what can it do that I can't, right? What are the things what are the capabilities of a tool that guesses the next word in your sentence before you think it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's super interesting. We'll keep using it, but
yeah,
there's different opinions, obviously. I got a question for you, a little bit of a departure from what we're talking about here. What is a word or phrase that we should no longer use in the workplace? What comes to mind?
Should.
Should. I just said it.
I know.
We should no longer. Uh-oh. What would I say instead? Is there a specific context you're thinking of?
I think action matters more than talking about action. So I should stop drinking coffee. I'm going to stop drinking coffee, right? I'm not going to stop drinking coffee.
That's just an example.
Right. No, I'm not. Yeah,
it.
I'm definitely not committing to that. But you shouldn't do anything. Do it or don't do it.
Right.
Right.
So is it more about just committing
Yeah.
and taking action? And so like just kind of eliminating that sort of idea of like it's like make a decision. Like
Right.
put a stake in the ground.
Right.
Do it or don't.
And when we talk to other people, you should do this. I mean, I don't know if you should do X, Y, or Z or not.
Like in terms of advising people.
Yeah,
advising
like
clients.
give advice from, EO does this thing about experience share. You don't give advice, you share an experience of something similar. It's more meaningful, it's more personal. It's not.
It's more credible too.
You should use AI. What I don't even know what that means.
Right.
For what? How?
Right.
Right? Like, that's probably a true statement. But what would be more meaningful is if I could say, like, have you tested AI to, like, run your transcripts? How's that going? Right? Like, let's make it an action. Let's make it a conversation. I think should is, like, 4-letter word.
Lyndsey, thank you so much for joining me today. This was a super fun conversation. I learned a lot.
It's my pleasure. I love being here. Thanks for having me.
El Fango.